Okay, so today we're going to look at the New Testament from a pretty different angle. What if it's not just a collection of inspirational letters, but something more like a legal file? We're diving into this idea of the Apostolic Deposit, the argument that the apostles left behind a binding set of instructions, not just some friendly suggestions.
So that really is the central question, isn't it? When you read the epistles, are they just, culturally specific advice for people 2,000 years ago, or are they something more? Are they the non-negotiable laws of a kingdom handed down from the very top? The material we're looking at today makes a fascinating case that it's absolutely the latter.
All right, first up, we have to get our heads around the basic premise of this whole argument. It's this idea that the New Testament is way more formal than just a spiritual guidebook. It's what's called a covenantal deposit. What does that even mean, a covenantal deposit? Well, think of it like a legal trust, or maybe even a nation's constitution. The argument goes that the apostles weren't just sharing their feelings or, giving some helpful tips to the churches in Corinth or Ephesus. No, they were actually establishing a binding legal framework, a set of universal rules meant to govern the church forever. It's the difference between a company memo and federal law.
Okay, so if this thing is a legal framework, then where does it get its power? Who's the authority behind it? Well, the whole case really hinges on the very specific words the apostles, especially Paul, chose to use. And trust me, it is not vague, fluffy language.
The original language is just so key here. Take the Greek word Paul uses, Entolē. This doesn't mean a good idea or, hey, maybe you should think about this. It's an order, a command, a charge. It carries the full weight of the person giving it, and it leaves zero room for misinterpretation. And boom, here it is in action. Paul doesn't say, I really hope you guys see that these are some good ideas I got from the Lord. He makes a powerful, direct statement. What I'm writing to you are the commandments, the Entolē of the Lord. He's stamping his instructions with the highest authority imaginable.
And believe it or not, it gets even more intense. Let's look at another word, Parangelia. This one has a real military vibe to it. It's a charge that's passed down from a commanding officer to someone under their command. It's all about a clear chain of command and the absolute expectation of obedience. This is the language of delegated authority.
So when Paul uses Parangelia right here, he's basically framing his instructions as military orders. And notice, they are given through him, but they come directly from the Lord Jesus. He's saying, look, I'm not making this up on the fly. I am relaying official orders that came straight from headquarters.
Okay, I can hear the objection already, but that was for a specific culture 2,000 years ago. That's a common argument, right? Well, the source material we're looking at suggests that Paul saw that coming a mile away and was super deliberate about making sure everyone knew his authority was universal.
This is such a critical distinction to make. Is the text simply describing what was happening in, say, the church at Corinth, like a history book? Or is it prescribing a law for all churches, everywhere, for all time? Because if it's prescriptive, then Paul's writings are like universal statutes, not just local stories.
And right here, this is the proof in the pudding. Paul puts it in black and white. His teachings are not just for the Corinthians. He says he teaches the exact same way everywhere in every church. He's basically laying down a standardized, consistent, non-negotiable policy for everyone. So, if these are actual laws, what happens when somebody breaks them? The whole idea of church discipline can sound pretty harsh, but inside this legal framework, it's not really about punishment just for punishment's sake. It's presented as a protective, legal process. The word that's used for this process is paradidomi. It's a legal term that means to hand something over, to deliver it. So in this context, it isn't about, random destruction. It's a purposeful transfer, a formal removal from the community. And the ultimate goal is always to bring them back and protect the integrity of the group.
And what's amazing is the New Testament actually lays out the whole process. It's a clear 4-step procedure. You withdraw, you note them, you have no company. But, and this part is everything, you still admonish them as a brother. You don't treat them like an enemy. The goal is restoration, not destruction. It's a process designed to protect the community and hopefully save the individual. So all of this brings us to the logical climax, the real heart of the whole argument. If Paul's authority comes straight from Christ, and if his commands are meant for everyone, and if all the apostles were on the same page, well, then we're left with a pretty stark choice. And this, right here, this is the bombshell. This is the crucial piece of evidence from another source.
It's the Apostle Peter. And he explicitly says that Paul's letters are on the same level of authority as the other scriptures. Whoa, that's not Paul hyping himself up, that's another foundational apostle confirming it. They saw their authority as one single unified deposit of truth. And that leads to this really powerful implication. You can't just pick and choose what you want to believe. You can't say, oh, Paul was spot on about salvation in Romans, but he was totally wrong about church order in Corinthians. According to this framework, his authority is a package deal. It's all or it's nothing.
The argument is that if a church decides it has the authority to just set aside these apostolic commands, it creates this vacuum of truth. That direct line of authority from Christ gets broken. And what rushes in to fill that vacuum? Human opinion, culture, whatever feels right at the time, not the founding documents. And that really shakes the entire legal basis of the new covenant.
And so we have to end on this question. It's really the logical conclusion of the whole case we've been looking at. If the explicit, universal commands laid down in the founding documents of the church can just be overruled by later generations, then what is the ultimate source of authority? Is it that original apostolic deposit, or is it something else entirely? That's the question this whole framework leaves us to think about.